Hey there everyone, it's Asinjo again, and in this skill video we're going to be focusing on the wizard's abilities. For the ones that are not interested in the commentary and just want to get straight through to the skills, I also have an abridged version of this video that will be linked in this video as well as in the description. Before we start with the first skills, we need to talk about the wizard and the sorceress's MP management. The first few MP related skills of the wizard work the same as with the sorceress, with some differences. So if you're familiar with Team Mom, then these skills are going to come second nature to you. Anytime you use any type of magic with the circle button or shoot magic missiles by holding the square button in the air, it's going to consume MP. By pressing and holding the square button on the ground, you can charge your MP back to max as you're walking around. The first four skills we're going to be talking about are in the MP management category. The MP skill we're going to talk about this time will be Concentrate. This speeds up your default MP charge skill performed by holding the square button while your feet are planted on the ground. This is a very useful passive to have since you'll always be charging up your MP anyway. Depending on what you're dealing with in each room, sometimes it's a good idea to find a safe spot to charge your MP in between dealing with the mobs. This is especially useful when your MP is empty because most of your useful normal attacks will cost MP. And without MP, it's going to be hard to kill your enemies without using up your spell books. Also, once a room is clear, Concentrate is the best way to get your MP back in between room transitions. The first level of Concentrate increases your MP charge speed by 10%. And at the max level, your MP charge speed is increased all the way up to 50%. When comparing Wizard to Sorceress with this skill, the Wizard has a better MP charge rate, with the Concentrate skill capping at level 10, for a whole 50% increase of the charge compared to the Sorceress's max charge cap at level 5 at 30%. This skill maxes out for 26 skill points total. The next MP management skill we're talking about is going to be Extract. By default, your basic square melee attacks give you 10 MP back per hit. Extract further boosts the amount of MP you get back when hitting the enemy. This is an active way to build back your mana and a great option depending on the situation. I always felt like Extract is for players that want to live dangerously like a battle mage and stay in the fray without having to back off to charge MP. Despite Wizard's low vitality, using Extract can be more practical after landing weapon status effects like Stun, Petrify, or Freeze, which is very easy to do with an Ice Staff. Regardless of group or solo play, this skill can benefit MP regen as long as you're getting your square attacks off. The first level of this skill grants you an additional MP regen effect with plus 5 MP per hit, and at the max level, you can regen an additional 20 MP per hit. In terms of skill points, Extract maxes out at level 7 for 14 skill points total. The next MP skill we will cover is going to be Mental Absorb. With this skill, you gain MP back for every enemy that you defeat. This skill works the same as the Sorceress's Mental Absorb, with some skill level differences. This skill is one of the two attack-based MP skills that give you more options to manage your MP pool with your style of play. Mental Absorb can be a hit or miss skill in party play if you're not getting enough kills, but in solo play, this skill can be very beneficial to MP management, since you're going to be getting all of the kills anyway. As for the skill points, the first level nets you 15 MP per kill, and at the max level you get a whole 30 MP per kill. Comparing Wizard to Sorceress, she has a higher skill ceiling for Mental Absorb, allowing her to get 50 MP per kill, compared to the Wizard's 30 MP. The Wizard's Mental Absorb maxes out at level 5 for 12 skill points total. The last MP skill to talk about is Spirit Up. This skill is very simple. It increases your maximum MP pool, which will give you more ammo to unleash attacks before you have to worry about replenishing your MP. If you're still worried about your max MP, there is also gear that you can get throughout the game that increases your maximum MP pool, so keep an eye out for those. The first level of Spirit Up increases your MP pool by 30, and at the last level it increases it all the way up to 150 extra MP. This skill maxes out at level 5 for 12 skill points total. Before we talk about the Wizard's offensive spells, it's very important to mention his MP overcharge ability. Unlike the Sorceress, when the Wizard is at max MP, He can continue to charge his MP to boost his overall damage and increase the size of some of his spells and wand attacks. You can stack the overcharge boost 3 times. Each charge grants further benefits. You will notice you're in overcharge when you get an increasing blue aura animation similar to the Amazon's Berserk. The first offensive spell we will talk about will be Fire Ward. This is a unique spell that has an offensive and defensive buff bundled in with some fire damage over time. The wizard places a magic circle on the ground that shoots out fireballs at enemies in all directions, in regular intervals. If you or your allies are in the circle, you not only do more fire damage, but also take less fire damage from enemies. This spell is great if you want to get the most out of spells like Blaze and Fire Burst, and they can definitely be a great method for shredding HP for bosses like the Killer Rabbit that are weak to fire. This spell is also unique because it is one of the few ways to increase damage of your entire party, as long as they have skills that use fire like the Elf Salamander Oil, or the Wizard and Sorceress Fire Staff attacks, or fire-based weapons that add fire damage to attacks. Fire Ward also lets you use fire attacks in water, so you can use spells like Blaze, Fire Burst, or your Fire Staff attacks on the Kraken. As for skill points, the first level of Fire Ward gives you access to the spell for 3 uses, 15 seconds of activation, and a 20% increase of your overall fire damage and fire defense. And at max level, Fire Ward grants you 7 uses of the spell, a 30-second duration, a 50% increase on fire damage and defense, and the area range of the spell increases by a whole 200%. This skill maxes out at level 3 for 9 skill points total. The next attack spell we're going to be focusing on will be Blaze. The wizard places a large pillar of fire in front of him which does constant fire damage to anything that it makes contact with. This skill may look like a souped up version of the Flame Staff's up circle attack, but is actually one of the few ways the wizard can get some great damage per second. It can be greatly effective on bosses weak to fire like the Gazer, Doom Beetle, and Killer Rabbit. Blaze is one of the wizard's spells that benefits greatly from the 50% boost gained from Fire Ward. And as mentioned earlier, pairing Blaze with Fire Ward lets you use Blaze on the Kraken and other enemies on watery terrain. Keep in mind also that Blaze is one of the attacks that gets a size and damage increase from using the wizard's MP overcharge ability. As for skill points, the first level of Blaze grants you access to the spell with 3 uses and 25 base power, and at max level you get 9 spell uses and 50 base damage. The skill maxes out at level 5 for 12 skill points total. This time we're going to be talking about the spell Storm. The wizard summons 3 large tornadoes at his current position which circle him and spread out over time. This is a great move that can be used for crowd control as well as putting good damage on large bosses due to the large area that the Storm can cover. Storm may not have the amazing crowd control of the Sorceress's Blizzard, but Storm tornadoes are big old hitboxes that can also negate and reflect many types of enemy projectiles and volley-based magic such as fireballs and magic shots. Not to mention, if the wizard has Labyrinth of Chaos gear like the Amazon's favorite Chaos Pendant, they can use the Storm to heal back a good bit of health. It's definitely very helpful in boss fights like versus the Archdemon and the Demon King that spawn mobs that frequently throw projectiles. Storm is another spell that benefits greatly from the wizard's MP charge ability, further improving an already great spell with even more range and damage. As for the skill points, the first level of Storm grants you access to the spell with 3 uses and 10 power for damage. At max level you get 9 spell uses and 25 power for damage. The skill maxes out at level 7 for 17 skill points total. The next spell on our list is Flame Burst. The wizard conjures a large volley of flame explosions that hit the ground in front of him and continue to travel forward. Flame Burst, as its name implies, is a solid burst of damage that also has a decent vertical reach. It can be very useful if you need to quickly rid yourself of a troublesome mob that's right in front of you. Flame Burst can further be improved if used with Fire Ward for the 50% boost in damage. This spell also gets an additional boost from MP charge for a great increase of spell size and damage. In terms of skill points, the first level of the skill grants access to the Flame Burst spell, with 3 uses at 30 base power, and at max level you get 9 spell uses and 60 power for damage. The skill maxes out at level 7 for 17 skill points total. This time we'll be talking about the spell Thunderbolt. The wizard rains down lightning bolts similar to the jumping thunder rod attack, but on a larger scale. The bolts will rain down for a short period of time after it's been cast. This is a great spell for crowd control due to its area of effect, which can be further enhanced with MP overcharge, increasing the size and damage of the bolts. Also good to note, this spell has a chance to stun, which can always be a goddess send when an entire room hates you. There are plenty of enemies and bosses that are weak to lightning, such as Harpy, Minotaur, Vampires, Gazer, and Pirate Gang. So if you're hype about lightning, give it a shot and see if it fits in with your playstyle. Even if it doesn't seem that good at first, everything can change with gear that you find in Labyrinth of Chaos and Tower of Mirages. As for the skill points, the first level of Thunderbolt gives you access to the spell with 3 uses and 40 base damage, and at max level you get 7 spell uses and 110 power for damage. The skill maxes out at level 10 for 26 skill points total. The next skill we're talking about is Meteor Swarm. The wizard reads a good book about astronomy, then meteors rain down from the heavens, dealing massive damage to any hostiles that are in range of the explosions. This spell is one of the strongest attacks, if not the strongest attack in the game, and one of the many reasons why people love playing wizard. At first glance, Meteor Swarm looks impractical because of that really long cast time, but there are ways to make it work. In team play, your friends can watch your back, classic D&D style, while you're trying to get your cast off. If you're more about solo play, you can find a rod and glasses that have the cardinal affix. These items decrease cast time up to 50%. Getting both can net you an insta-cast meteor, which makes the move a very easy choice if you want to nuke anything that tries to step to you. Even without the right gear, if you use the right combination of spells to keep yourself from dying, and pop a stalwart potion, you can get your spells off without flinching. Now for the skill points. The first level gives you access to the spell with 3 uses, 3 meteor drops, and 1200 base power. And at the max level, the spell uses stay the same at 3, but you get 5 meteors at 1500 base power for damage. The skill maxes out at level 3 for 12 skill points total. This next skill we will mention is Create Golem. The wizard creates a wood golem that fights for him in battle. You can perform this skill by using the square attack next to any wood containers such as boxes, barrels, etc. This even works on a wood container that was just recently broken. That was a huge addition with an update to the game for wizard players, because most party members tend to break containers the moment that they see their existence. Unlike the sorceress that can get multiple skeletons, you can have only one golem as wizard, but every time you create a golem, you discard the current golem and remake a bigger and stronger one in its place. You can heal your golem similar to how the sorceress heals her skeletons. Anything that heals the wizard like food, potions, runes, skills, etc. will all heal your golem. Much like golem mobs in dungeon, your golem can also regen while standing in water. Golem is great to have when exploring a floor because it's just great to have someone else to soak up hits for you. And higher level golems get really fierce. The major downside is that they usually die quickly in a boss room, and if there's fire on the floor, they're going to burn like wood that would burn in a fire. Also, they are harder to keep alive in endgame content due to how hard the enemies hit. But if it's fun seeing a golem survive a fight with the red dragon with only their feet remaining, don't give up on the idea.
Yo, look at the health on that golem.
Yeah. Yo, they ain't got no arms. But he lost his arms.
He's still fighting.
But he's still fighting. Like, he's doing his best.
As for skill points, the first level grants you access to the Create Golem ability, letting you create golems that use 50% of your level for their own. Every level after that will further increase the percentage of your level given to the golem for its strength. Every level after 1 lets you power up your golem when making a new one. At max level, your golem gets 100% of your level and can be powered up to 3 times. The skill maxes out at level 5 for 12 skill points total. Next skill on our list is Levitation. With Levitation, the wizard gains a hover ability as a third jump that allows him to stay afloat in the air for a period of time. This skill also includes a passive buff that increases airborne magic similar to the sorceress Levitation. The wizard's Levitation is more like a controlled hover rather than the air dash like the sorceress Levitation. Like I've mentioned in Dragon's Crown, the ground is hot lava, and sometimes the ground is literally on fire. so having a skill that lets you say nope to that is pretty handy. Plus, having a passive damage buff while airborne is very helpful for the mage classes, because some of the best work on mob and boss slaying is done in the air. As for the skill points, the first level grants access to the Levitation ability with a 20% increase on airborne magic attacks, and at the last level, the airborne magic attack buff increases to 50% more damage. This skill maxes out at level 3 for 9 skill points total. This time we're going to talk about the spell Slow. With Slow, the wizard creates an area that slows down movement and attack speed of any enemy that comes in contact with the circle. This is one of those skills that every wizard friend I've talked to said is a must-have. It makes everything easier for you as a wizard in solo and group play. With the right positioning and spell usage, you can pretty much do whatever you want if you can kite enemies into the field. Because Slow also affects an enemy's attack speed, you can get way more attacks in before they can actually retaliate. So this is very important on bosses that have hard to react attacks among many other things. As for skill points, the first level grants you access to the Slow spell with 4 uses at 60% speed reduction. Every skill level after that not only increases the slowdown, but the slow area field size as well. At max level, you get 9 spell casts, an 85% speed reduction, and a 130 increase on its area of effect.
This skill maxes out at level 5 for 10 skill points total.
The last skill we're going to be talking about today is the spell Extinction. The wizard launches an orb of otherworldly energy at his foes, and as the skill description says, cast to make one enemy cease to exist. You can literally send any mob-related enemy to the Shadow Realm, including troublesome champion monsters. The skill does not work on bosses, but it's very useful when traversing through dungeons and high-level content, because what it hits, it literally kills. As for the skill points, the first level of Extinction gives you access to the spell with 3 uses, and at max level, you get all the way up to 9 spell casts. This skill maxes out at level 5 for 12 skill points total. That's going to be about it for this wizard skill video. I appreciate anyone that took the time to check this video out, and I'm very happy for the ones that got some good info out of said video. I want to apologize to the ones that were legitimately waiting for me to finish this wizard vid. The TLDR on this is that I have really messed up hands, and a bunch of other real life stuff getting in the way made it so that I never got back to trying to finish this project until now. If you ever want to know more about the subject, just hit me up whenever you feel like it in stream. I originally planned for 2 more videos, a general skills video and a cooking video. I plan to work on them while I prep for skill videos for Hades, which in itself is a pretty daunting task, but look forward to what I come up with. As for 2021, everyone, take care of yourselves.